Hey everybody, it's old folks here. I wanted to talk a little bit about Hero Brawl. Some people would ask some questions. They talk about team compositions, who do I pick, things like that. I'm currently fifth. I bounce somewhere between third, fourth, and fifth on average. Teams are kind of in the same vicinity. I'm really right on that bubble now just because of how I built my teams and what I've been focusing on. If I oranged a few more, I'd jump up a lot in power. I've been focusing a lot more on awakenings on some guys. But I want to talk a little bit about your teams. Uh, Depending on when you start level 50, obviously you only get 4 guys. As you level up, then you get a 5th guy, and then finally you get your 6th person. Your team composition really matters here versus just throwing your best heroes in there, because your team has to work together. A lot of times we talk about the idea of absolute power and relative power. You want to make sure you have a team that has a really good relative power because they're going to function better. So let's talk first about this slot on the end. Really, this team is probably my one team with my weakest slot per se. I don't necessarily like what I've got here. Looking at my other heroes, I'm coming to a point where I'm looking at swapping her in, but she's not quite ready for prime time. Anyone else that I've got really kind of struggles to bring certain aspects. I like Teresa because she does have the knock up, but a lot of times it's almost kind of too late. I do run a 2-tank team on this one. Again, you don't have to, but I do. But it actually does pretty good on as a team. So let's talk some of the picks here. Obviously, I've got Snowboy down here because the second he drops in, he freezes everybody. But let's just talk teams right now. So here I've got my typical setup featuring Edwin. This has a secondary tank because of Noelle and Snow. I get the silence, I get the pops ups. This all kind of plays into Edwin. The perk of this composition is with Sebastian. I get an often early ultimate with Blaine, which helps with the silence. And then when one of these guys dies, she drops in and heals. And what Sebastian do? He reses them. So I get kind of this great working thing together where the team drops out somebody and they get pulled back in and then they get healed back to life. And so there's a lot of damage and a lot of sustain there. And it works pretty well for the most part. Outside of against a very strong team, it does really well. This team is based around, for the most part, Vortex, Pagani. My 2 tanks are there to tank, absorb damage, jump to the back row, do damage as Chavez does. Pagani's job is to sleep, and then I've got my energy steal, which helps Vortex, as well as my shields, and then I have Vortex that just does damage. I mean, that's the job of that team. Again, I really kind of struggle with my positioning here. I've thought about putting Snowman here to try and help the comp out a little bit more. I switch back and forth. It really just kind of depends on my mood for the day. But it is pretty powerful. Finally, my third team here. This is kind of my AD team. I swap out a lot of times. I'll pull her out. I'll put him in. And then I gotta find Snowman. There he is. Put him back out. So it just kind of varies on where I'm sitting at the moment. For my AD kind of stuff that I want, I like all these guys. It's pretty powerful. And heaven forbid Rek gets to his ultimate, then they all start healing themselves, and it helps a lot. The sustainability of gears and his shield. So obviously what happens here is Snowman comes in and it buys me that 2 seconds or so of free damage time to usually kind of mitigate everything. And obviously as a tank, Jacob does a great job just because he can lifesteal very well, jump to the back line. So it's a pretty good team. When you build your teams, it's really hard sometimes, and I've got a lot of guys to pick out of, to say, who should I pick? So I'm gonna refresh this here. Let's look at Xursa, and his team's really kind of not worth mentioning in the sense that everybody is who they are. He's running a Chavez. He's running, obviously, a Pagani. He's got his healer, and So we see on his team, he's got a healer, which he's actually gotten real good since her awakening. Again, this is a great little combo: the knockback, the multi-tank plus damage, and then finally Daikin comes in at the end as people are almost dead, blows her ult, it kills people, and then blows it again and again, and kind of get the idea. Team here is basically built around kind of the same. It's a magic base, life stealing, got Merlin. Got to tank the back lines, and if somebody does die, the first thing that happens is Monk Sung drops in, throws down the hammer, or the staff, I guess you would say, and locks them down and gives them all time to, again, do more damage. Again, a taunting team with insane damage. Then if you can burst out between the two healers, what happens? Sebastian comes in, reses somebody back up. So, I mean, those are kind of the teams that you see. Again, here, high tink, pretty moderate damage, featuring a Zoe. So as soon as she comes in, again, as people are low, she blows her ult. Hopefully kills people, gets to blow it again. Kind of see that. You've got your massive lifesteal healing team, just not going to drop anytime soon. Real difficult to beat. And then again here, you've got your sleek team, which is a really difficult one to face. Ruby, I'm surprised with Ruby placement at the end, I'm not going to lie, but a lot of these teams are bread and butter teams you're going to see. Late games, high picks. Biggest question people ask me is how do I build a team based off of more free heroes? Again, team compositions are all kind of the same way. You're going to need a tank. So, pick your tanks that you're going to need. Usually you're going to be limited to one tank per team. Maybe you've got a few extra tanks. If so, you can double stack a team like that. If you've got a Poulon, get him up to a high level just for his ultimate. His ultimate's phenomenal. Later levels, you'd be surprised at how many matches I've won just because he's shut everybody down for that brief moment of time. And the only skill, I knew a guy that actually had Poulon, and the only skill he leveled was his ultimate, and he kept him high level, and he used him, and he did great because he did his job. Marksman wise, again, when you're in the world of free heroes, which they all are for the most part, because there's no legendary people with a gun, why would we do that, or a bow, or anything else? Again, kind of picking your team, maximizing who you can, and then obviously if you've got a wreck, it stacks well with the marksman team. Mages, taking Vortex, and you also know these people out. Blaine's great, obviously. Pagani, if you got a Pagani, is a great one. I like Media. I like Salmon. He's good. Almost great. Daikin's awesome, especially coming in on that 6th slot. For when everybody's dead, she ults, kills them, You kind of see the process. You'll see a lot of Karnas, some Emily's, a little bit more play in there. Supports, for the most part, are all across the board. You're going to see some healers. You're going to see some Kong Mings. You're going to see some Merlins. And it's pretty much just picking out of those teams, kind of going with who works best for that. I still don't use Aurora. I don't know a lot of people that do. And finally, in your cannon slots, you're really limited by your cannoneer class. You'll see some Grunks. But that's, for the most part, who I see. I've seen a couple of Russells. Little Red's making a comeback. To some degree, but for the most part, that's kind of the people that I usually see. So I hope that helps you all. Really think about that 6th slot, because that's kind of your bread and butter. How can I win? Do I put a healer there? Do I put a Sebastian there? Do I put a Poulon there? Kind of figure out what works best for you. Or Daikin, again, for that cleanup on aisle 8 kind of thing. I hope you guys find this useful. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and I'll gladly answer them. Talk to y'all later.